the last 3 years to go give a seminar in the Bahamas at one of the world headquarters of the Shivananda Yoga Ashram. There's all these Mayavadi sannyasis there, and Westerners. And he's invited, and he's loved there, and he's invited year after year. This year he gave a wonderful seminar on the Mahabharata, with everyone just laughing, cracking up, and explaining the Mahabharata in such a wonderful way. And these impersonalists like him. They appreciate him because he's like Radhanath Swami, and like Rishabhadev teaches us, respectful to spiritual to the impersonalists who are, after all, transcendentalists, who are spiritualists. So next time you meet a Mayavadi sannyasi on the street, just give him a break. It's a joke. The other interesting point that Prabhupada mentions in this verse, in the purport, is that if you meditate on the impersonal Brahman, you end up in Siddhaloka. And I've heard several times, and devotees can corroborate it, Prabhupada said, many of my disciples will go to the heavenly planets. So, where do we want to go? Where do we want to go? Do we want to go to the heavenly planets and have wonderful material enjoyment? Or do we want to go to Goloka Vrindavan and render service to Radha Krishna and the Kaur boys and the eternal associates of Krishna? So we have to hammer this home in our brain. Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karma dinapitam anukulina krishnanu shilanam bhakti ruttama. Pure devotional service, free from the contamination of fruitive activities and mental speculation. That's our cardinal verse. That's our cardinal mindset in our spirituality. And finally, a third interesting point that sometimes we kind of don't think about. Prakashananda Sarasvati, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya in this case, we have to understand who Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was not just some mythical personality in some mythical book. He was a historical person who lived very recently, 500 years ago. And he was an extremely influential person in the society at that time. And so he was a Grihastha, but he was so learned, so advanced, so respected that he had so many sannyasi disciples, all in the Mayavadi school. So when he became a devotee, when he took up the cause of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you can just imagine the rippling effect it had on the whole society. Oh my God, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya became a devotee, became a Vaishnava. I was thinking, while chanting my rounds, while not listening to my rounds and thinking what I was saying to class this morning, I was thinking of an analogy. Imagine if the Pope, for example, of the Catholic Church, all of a sudden became a member of the Krishna conscious movement. Declared well, actually, I didn't really realize it, but by the mercy of Prahladananda Swami, by the mercy of the Florence devotees, I've realized that the Father of Jesus Christ is Lord Shri Krishna. Imagine the effect that of it can be. That's what happened with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Last week there was an article on CNN about Julia Roberts. Who doesn't know Julia Roberts? Raise your hand. You won't go to hell if you don't know Julia Roberts. Everyone knows Julia Roberts. So she expresses in an article, in an interview, she says, I'm a practicing Hindu. I go to temple every Sunday. I chant and celebrate with my family. Some Swami in India. I don't think she's part of the Vaishnava tradition, unfortunately. But anyway, some Swami in Delhi named her twin sons Krishna and Balaram.
Hariva.
And her daughter Lakshmi or something like that. So like that, great famous personalities are gradually coming to the Vedic fold in some way or other. And sometimes, you can't tell from externals, but that they're practicing Krishna. So hopefully one day, we'll have. Actually, Shyamasundar, since we're in London, at the Kuli Mela 2 years ago, he gave a seminar on how to preach to influential people. And his point was this: look, I did it. I did it with George Harrison, and what are you guys waiting for? Why just me 25 years ago? So hopefully the future will see, again, very influential people in modern society becoming members of the Krishna consciousness movement. It has to happen. It will happen. In today's context, how does this verse resonate? We don't really see a lot of hardcore Mayavadi sannyasis walking down the streets of London or Los Angeles or Moscow. Generally speaking, people are just really on a sort of like a sensual platform. Just gross sense gratification, sex, meat eating, intoxication. Our business as devotees is somehow or other ourselves, rise above these conditionings and make people understand that the pursuit of sense enjoyment doesn't really give that satisfaction we're looking for. And we see that on the face of people when they go on Harinam Sankirtan, isn't it? Especially in London, people are so jaded. People are so jaded. You just see on their face, they're just like, they're so frustrated. They tried so hard the night before, and the days before, to just squeeze out, like you have a sponge, you just like squeeze some water out of it, and you squeeze more, and there's just like nothing left, there's no water left, there's not a drop of water in the sponge, but you just like keep squeezing it, hoping some drop will come. So unfortunately, that's what people are misguided into thinking that's it, that's the goal, just squeezing the senses to the max, and being left, like so worn out, empty, unsatisfied, frustrated. Frustrated, Bhagavad Gita says, right? When contemplating the object of the senses and develop attachments with them, anger arises, so we become angry, and frustrated with material desires. So that's the duty of the Vaishnavas. That's the duty of all of us. To control our senses and to keep experiencing that higher taste. Because theoretically we understand, yes, devotional service, bhakti yoga is an ocean compared to a drop of water, right? And that's compared to Brahman realization, which is supposed to be, Ananda, Brahm Ananda. Compared to that, sense gratification is theoretically, it's just like so insignificant, right? So what's the secret? Well, Mahaprabhu says, right? Golokera, Prema Dana, Yuga Dharma. Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. There's really no secret around it. We hope one day to be wanting to have millions of ears and millions of tongues so we can hear and chant that sweet, supposedly sweet, I ain't tasting no sweetness in the holy name, especially when I'm chanting japa, the sweet holy name of Krishna with a million ears and a million tongues. But until that stage, well, we just keep going. We keep going. We keep practicing Krishna consciousness. As a matter of fact, there's a verse that His Grace Ravindra Swarup Prabhu often quotes from the 11th canto, wherein Krishna himself is speaking to Uddhava. And he says, it's paraphrased in the purport. I can read that to you, but in short, Krishna says, my devotee, even though he understands that sense gratification leads to no good, still he's not really able to give it up. But incidentally, this devotee at the VIH in Vrindavan, he's an initiating spiritual master grasp. Burijan Prabhu mentions it. The Acharyas mentioned that verse doesn't talk about gross fall down. It talks about just the spirit of enjoyment. So Krishna said, even though my devotee understands that sense gratification leads to no good, still, maybe being unable to give it up, what does he do? He should remain happy. Should remain happy and continue serving me.